Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski, Republican, said Friday she did not vote for former President Trump in November's election, but pledged she would stay in the Senate Republican Conference, once again ruling out the possibility of caucusing with Senate Democrats. Murkowski called for her fellow Republicans to rethink and rebuild what their party is about, urging it to be the more inclusive party it was under former Presidents Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush. Murkowski noted that she had previously said if the Republican Party continues to be the party of Trump, I'm not quite sure where I fit. She acknowledged I can be very discouraged at times by things that go on in my own caucus, in my own party. I think each member feels that, she added, but I have absolutely no desire to move over to the Democrat side of the aisle. Murkowski revealed Friday that she did not vote for Trump, but instead wrote another person to be elected president. She declined to reveal who that was. He didn't win, she quipped. People have asked, and it's like, you know what? It's not really relevant who I voted for, she added. She told Alaska Public Radio earlier this month that she absolutely unequivocally would not consider a party switch. Her earlier comments, however, raised questions about whether she might leave the Republican Party to become an independent. Murkowski on Friday signaled that she still thinks the Republican Party best reflects her views, although she would like to see it return to what it was under Reagan and the Bushes. She said she feels most at home in a Republican Party that embodies the characteristics of big tent Republicans. I would like us to be that party that is inclusive of young people and minorities and LGBT and all people everywhere, regardless of demographic or background, she said. I think the Republican Party has so much to offer if we can just get away from the personalities that have shaped it into a more narrowly defined view. Murkowski said she was urged to consider joining the Libertarian Party in 2010 after she lost a Republican primary race against Joe Miller. So the reason I find this story interesting, aside from it being part of my pledge to cover Murkowski ahead of her re-election bid next year, is because Cenk Uygur of TYT 20 years ago used to be a Republican. He always has defined his idea of a Republican as being one of the liberal ones. So the ones that did believe in LGBT rights, and supporting civil rights causes, against the war on drugs, stuff like that. And it's really ironic because a lot of those positions Murkowski does have, such as the fact that she's one of the few Senate Republicans to support same-sex marriage. And also she's one of the ones that doesn't try to pretend climate change isn't going on. So it's crazy how this is a party that she's been in for so long that she's actually watched it over the course of from the time she entered the Senate almost 20 years ago or 18 years ago, to now becoming this thing that just has a certain set number of views on issues. And if you don't fit with those views, or if you dare to speak out against certain things, you're now not good enough to be with them, or like you get, warned that you're going to get challenged and whatnot. So I found it interesting for that, because Cenk often will talk about how the moderate section of the Republican Party doesn't exist anymore, which I would say a lot of elected Republicans are very right-wing, but some of the voters can have, liberal views on social issues. And it's just really interesting that like these people who are both like pushing 40, 50, 60, they're all, I guess, cognizant of how this party really shifted. I personally think it started with the younger Bush, that she was trying to glorify him when he was the epitome of right-wing ridiculousness. I mean, bad on the environment, bad on social issues, a warmongers. And it's funny to watch him get lionized as like a part of a better time, especially if you're old enough to remember his tenure. But I think this is interesting because there are a lot of people who would comment that things used to be better for this party when I don't know how accurate that is, but I can say it certainly has gotten more right wing. Although whether it was more inclusive is up for debate.